recording. All right. So, hi everybody that sees this recording. We're going to start here with the recording. And then I'm going to go live and we're going to go live. So, yeah, let's see. Yeah, I think it's some type of delay. So I did see it and I said, wow, there it is right there. Oh my goodness. And we were talking. You were talking about your
it's on this page, right?
Say that again.
This page.
Yes, my main page.
This page.
Mm-hmm. So let me go ahead. It's not live yet. So let me go ahead and up. Okay. Okay, it's preparing it right now. And all right, so this is where.
All right. Says we are live. We are live. Right. We are live.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. I apologize for the delay. We had some tech issues, but we're working it all out. We're just going to keep this going, and eventually it'll pop up. Because for some reason there's some type of delay, but it's all good. So we're gonna start off with Miss Tammy introducing herself. Well, let me introduce myself for those of you who don't know who I am. I am, some call me Pastor Carolyn, but I am pastor and purpose pusher of Tears to Breakthrough Ministries and Conference. And I, for the most part, I minister to women who are starting over after abuse, after divorce, after trauma. And I do, workshops, retreats, conferences, all of that good stuff, which I can't wait to get back on track with that. But I have today here this amazing woman, Queen Tammy. And Tammy, can you just introduce yourself to everyone and tell them who you are? And
yeah, absolutely. I am Goddess Tammy Marie, and this is my I'm an author. This is my book, From My Brokenness to Wholeness. Girl, get up, girl. And the purpose and the reason why I wrote my book is to see your life transformed to a better you, and to teach you how to forgive yourself, and then the ones that hurt you. Because that's what my book is about. Letting go is so, guys, letting go is so powerful. Letting go of the pain, the guilt, and the shame. And that's what my book is about. It encompasses all of that. And it also has within the book, you can journal, and you can also become a self-publisher as well. I'm also an author consultant, help other authors publish their books. I'm also a life coach and a mentor. I have my own company called the Women's Wellness Connection Center. And my mission for the Women's Wellness Connection Center is to encourage you, uplift, and empower and develop, women's whole well-being and their mental health. Our mental health is very,
important.
Very, very, very detrimental. And get them back to their wholeness, get you back to your healing. So that's what it's all about, encompassing, empowerment for women, helping us to learn how to value ourselves, love ourselves again. Through all the things that we go through. I know sometimes we be going through all these things, that we still be helping other people, and things like that. You know how we are women, we suppress those things. We suppress that depression, we suppress those things that we're going through. Even when we're being abused, we suppress those. We don't talk about it, we don't tell nobody.
That's so true.
So the Women's Wellness Connection Center is a place of a safe haven for youth, from girls 12 to 20 years old. And then extension over to the women, from 21 and up to 102 until you get on up out of here.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So I'm going to let you, I don't know if you can see it on my page, but you can go ahead and share it. It is on my page. You should be able to see it now. But I'm just so.
Oh, Lord, where we go, girl. Yes. It's how it works.
I know. So I am so excited that we have this time to really pour into people, because I love the title of this book, From Brokenness to Wholeness, because so many people, especially my sisters, are broken. I mean, I was there. I know all about it. I know all about it.
I read your book, Tears in a Bottle.
Yes, Tears in a Bottle. But you know, so many of my sisters are broken, and the sad thing is, so many are broken and don't even realize they're broken, right? And so,
that's good.
yeah, we tend to just go through life and not even, you know, just do our regular routines every day, go to work, take care of the kids, do whatever we do, and don't even think about the fact that we are broken. And then it starts showing up in different areas of our life. You know, we screaming at the kids, we screaming at the spouse, you know, we snapping, and we're wondering, you know, our moods are fluctuating, and we're wondering what's going on. And it's because we're broken, because we have all these unresolved issues that were never handled.
Right.
So, you know, I kind of want to start right there, you know, because you wrote this book. I read your book. It definitely is a good read, but you overcome some stuff, you know, and it takes a lot of courage to really tell your story. You know, the Bible says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So our testimony is so important, because people need to hear our stories. And so what made you, I mean, what's the question? The question is, what motivated you to really share your story? Because I know for me, it took a while. It took a while, because I couldn't even, I was so broken and I was so wounded, but I was one of those women walking around, you know, just doing life all broken up, you know.
Life. That was me. Just doing life. I was walking around like a zombie. Didn't even realize I was a zombie walking around, because I always had a smile on my face. Just pushing through. I always wanted to be there for others and not allowing others to get inside of me and get inside my head, and to let them know what I was going through, because I wanted to be there for them and be their backbone, to be their strength. And people used to always, when they heard my story, it's like, I wish you would have never went through those things. I wish that would have never happened to you. I wish you wouldn't have had to go through that molestation, through that rape, through these men abusing you, through being emotionally broken, through being spiritually broken. I said, why not me? Who else is going to be? God chose, because he knew I had the strength to push through the struggle, to teach me, to grow me up, to mature me, to strengthen me, so I can go get that other girl, that other woman, and go back and get her, and to pull her up and pull her through and push her through, to let her know you still here. So you still got a chance. You still got it. God created you for this. God created you to be Wonder Woman. God created you fearfully and wonderfully made. You are beautiful. You are valued. I love you, and God does too. So he took me through these storms, and I'm grateful for it. I'm glad he did use me, and here I am today. So,
that's a good point. That God, he will use the very thing that has broken us and caused us the worst pain. God will use it for our good and for somebody else's good and for somebody else's growth, you know. So I always say God doesn't, I don't personally don't believe God, you know, because we know we do still have an adversary, the devil. So he's always busy.
Yes, that's his job. Let him do his job.
Let him do his job, right. So
we gotta do our job.
Exactly. So even though God did not cause the pain, he used the pain for his glory and for a greater purpose. And so we all have a pain and purpose story. You know, we all have a tears to breakthrough story, you know, and I just think it's so courageous to share, because I know it took a lot, because, you know, you have these skeptics, the haters, the naysayers, people telling you, why would you want to put your business out there like that? So how did you handle that? Because I'm sure you experienced some of that. Why would you want to put your business out there like that?
And that was the hardest part, to publish it, because I had already had it written. And the beginning of my story, when I was 12 years old, when I was molested, it was by my uncle, by my mom's brother. And my grandmother had, 17 children. So I had to face those 16 other children. I had to face their children. They didn't even know that this happened to me. They didn't know what I went through. They didn't know any of these things. So when it was exposed, it actually, I didn't even know it, and then I found out other things about my aunts, about other people in my family that he has bothered, things like that. So it brought about healing. Although I was scared in the beginning, my aunt, she said, write it anyway. It's your story.
Right.
It's your story. It's not theirs.
That's
so
right.
It don't matter what they say or what they might say about you or how they may look at you or how they may shun you just because it's my brother. It don't matter. You my niece. I love you. I love you. And so that's what made me publish it. And some of the stuff I did leave out because it was so gruesome.
Right. Yeah.
And as I was writing it, I even cried again. I didn't even know I had that in me, you know, and that's why it's good to journal. That's why it's good to write it down, because I just feel like, you know, your writing is your healing. Writing is your healing. And that's what got me through it. God was waking me up at 2 and 3 o'clock. I just wrote.
Yeah.
And that's how my book became produced, by
that
me just
so
writing my healing.
That is so true. Writing is so therapeutic. Journaling, I've always been a journaler. Journaling is so therapeutic. And I know when I was writing my book, like you said, okay, of course I knew my story, but you know, as time goes on, you kind of, well, I know me personally, I kind of separated myself from my story.
Right.
So while I was writing my book, it all came back. And I went through many days and nights of crying, because just reliving everything again. And but then by the end, by the time I got to the end of writing my book and the finished product, I felt so cleansed and so
a relief.
Oh my God! Like I was Superwoman. Like I can do anything.
It was a relief
because you think about all those years you held all of that stuff in.
Yeah.
And you didn't talk
walking around like a zombie again.
Yeah, right.
Things again.
We don't talk about it. Right.
Now it's bursting open.
That's the truth. Yeah. So I was just
tears like, now tears to a breakthrough. Tears to a breakthrough.
And that's what God gave me. Tears in the bottle turned into tears to breakthrough, because I had so much breakthrough after writing it. And then each time I would share my story with somebody else, and then just mentoring them, and I see them breaking through. It's like this is a real thing here. So we got to make this thing happen. We have to share our story. And you did say something that's so powerful, that your aunt said to you, that's your story. And many times people don't want us to tell our story, or they want to tell their version of our story. No, that's your story. That's your truth. You know, they want to tell their version of your story. You know that, right? Because I had that too.
Right.
They were like, that's not how that happened. Well, first of all, were you there? You weren't there. How you want to tell me what happened to me?
Right.
I was there. I experienced it.
Right. Especially the people that was there, they got a different story.
They have a different version of the truth, right? So you have, so I'm telling you, so it absolutely has changed my life to really put it out there and help others do the same. So I'm so excited for you, because when I read your book, I was like, woo! And that's the other thing that I realized, as bad as we think our story is, when you start talking to other women and reading other women's books, it's like, wow, I thought I went through some stuff. So when I read yours, I was just like, dang, like what? And of course, you're so positive. You always have a smile. You're so, you exude so much strength. And yeah, you went through that. But you didn't stay there. You didn't continue to wallow in that. You didn't, we go through seasons of wallowing. We do. But the goal is to not stay there. It happened. It happened. And a friend of mine always say, so what? Now what? Now what are you going to do next? What are you going to do about it? Because we always have a choice to stay there and wallow in our pain, and wallow in our sufferings.
You know why, right? You know why we do that?
Why do we do that?
People like a pity party.
Oh, girl, the pity party. Yeah, and then we want to invite other people to the pity party.
That's right.
We'll invite somebody else to the pity party, right? So
trying to pull you through their mess.
That's right.
They messed up.
Because like minds think alike. So everybody's sitting there having a pity party, and nobody's getting their wounds healed. Nobody is becoming whole. Everybody's all broken up and fragmented, all the little pieces all over the place. Yeah.
Spreading their brokenness to other people.
Exactly. Yeah. Because there's a difference, and I had to learn this. There's a difference between telling your story from a perspective of somebody being whole versus telling your story from this broken down person still wounded.
That's right. That's
full
right.
of anger and bitterness and unforgiveness, because that's what I want to talk about next. How did you, or did you ever get to the point where when you say you whole, you must have got to the point where you forgave? Because I know that was huge for me, forgiveness. But God calls us to forgive, because if we don't forgive, then he won't forgive us. So many times people are caught up, some kind of people, they wear that unforgiveness as a badge of honor. I'm never going to forgive him. I'm never going to forgive her. But then they wonder why their prayers are being blocked, because unforgiveness is a blessing blocker. You're blocking your own blessings. So let's talk about forgiveness and unforgiveness. How did you handle forgiveness, or did you forgive?
Oh, I did forgive. I had to forgive myself first for what happened to me, because at the age that it happened to me, I was 12 when it began. So at that time, the reason why I felt ashamed in the beginning and for myself, and then forgive myself, because I felt like at 12 years old, I knew better. At 12 years old, I can say yes. I had a voice to say yes and no. But I had to recognize, and how I forgave myself, I recognized that although I was 12, I was still a child.
You were a child,
although I was 12, he was supposed to be somebody that I look up to. He was a man. He was an adult. So he was a man that came in like a monster that took advantage of this child.
Right.
I wasn't fully grown. My brain wasn't even fully there. So I had to understand that. So once I understood that I was a child and it was not my fault, that's when I forgave myself. And then that's when I allowed myself to forgive him, because I knew he was sick. And sometimes we have to start thinking about the other person, and we don't a lot of times, because they hurt us. We don't care what they went through a lot. So we have to start thinking about other people too. Like, they've been through something. So they're acting out of what they've been through. But we're not in that moment thinking about and caring about what they've been through, because we're being hurt.
Right.
So I learned how to forgive others, understanding that they have been through something and that something has happened to them. And so they're reacting in these ways.
Right.
So it's hard to understand when we do forgive what forgiveness is. It's a conscious decision that we deliberately make for that person or for that group of people, removing that resentment. It's not condoning their actions. It's not accepting what they did. It's acknowledging what they did and moving on and moving forward.
Moving on. Yeah, because I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. They get stuck thinking, well, if I forgive, then that's saying that they were right, or that's saying that what they did is right, but that's not true. You're forgiving them so that you can free yourself up to live a healthy, productive life, and then sometimes people get stuck thinking, well, I know a lot of women I mentor, and the first thing they say, well, if they never apologize to me. I say, well, you're not forgiving them just to get an apology, because guess what? You may never get that apology. So are you going to keep yourself bound to your pain and hurt just because they're not going to apologize? If they never apologize to you, you still have to forgive them so that you can move on, so that you can live a productive, healthy life, because we know that there are actually scientifically, there are diseases that are attached to unforgiveness. There are certain cancers that are attached to unforgiveness. So there's a reason why God told us to forgive, So we have to forgive for our mental state, our physical state, our emotional state, so that we can be whole, right? You're not going to be whole until you actually forgive. And we're not saying that that's easy, because it's a process. It took me some years to get there. And then there's different stages of forgiveness, because, and the other thing I find is sometimes people think, well, if they forgive, does that mean they have to reconcile with that person? Forgiveness does not always mean reconciliation.
And you might not always have that option.
That's right.
Because, and sometimes people may pass away. I didn't get a chance to go to my uncle to ask him, to let him know that I have forgave him, and to ask for forgiveness from him. I just had to do it. He's already passed away a few years ago, so I didn't get that chance, but I had already forgiven him anyway before he even passed away. But I didn't have to confront him. Some people feel like they have to confront a thing or a person to get their release. Some people have to go through that to understand why. I didn't have to understand why. I had to understand.
You already understood why he was sick.
I wanted my sanity. I had to understand that I needed to forgive myself in order for me to move on. And sometimes we hold this bitterness and this resentment for other people that's hurt us, and they don't even know sometimes that they hurt us.
That's true.
People just who they are, and they just feel like, this is who I am.
That's true.
I didn't even know I hurt you. And so that's why you need to go to that person and let them know that they hurt you. And if they don't receive it and they have an excuse about it, you say, you know what? I gave it to you, and I release and keep it moving.
And keep it moving. That's it.
We can't stay stuck. We cannot stay stuck.
Yeah. One thing I noticed you've said, and you've said it a few times, is you forgave yourself. That's huge, because a lot of times we forget to forgive ourselves. So let's talk about that. When you say you forgave yourself, explain.
What I said earlier about I had to understand when I forgave myself, I couldn't forgive. No, I couldn't forgive him because I couldn't forgive myself, because I felt like at that time it was my fault. But when I recognized and realized it was not my fault,
it was not your fault.
At 12 years old, you know what I mean? And that's when I removed the guilt and I started removing the shame, because I said I did not allow this stuff. I even felt I allowed it because I could have said yes, I could have said no, but I didn't allow it. It was his responsibility as an adult, and me being a child, not to do those things. But it is what it is. And I just kept it moving. Yeah, and I just didn't allow those things to break me. And then, but it did affect me, because that's what started the perpetual cycle of me being now going into 13, 14 years old. Now I'm being raped by other men. I'm being gang raped. I done been raped by a boyfriend. So I had to go through those just thank God I'm still here, because in those moments of tears of going through those things, I actually saved a girl by being raped so she wouldn't have to be touched. I went through a lot, but looking back, God has covered me, and he kept me, because I went through a whole nother space in those moments. I was in a whole understand where I was at that time, but that was God not recognizing it now, covering me and keeping me and protecting me. Although my spirit at that time and emotions was being tainted, and my body was being physically tainted, God kept me sound-minded, and he brought me to him in those moments. So I'm just grateful.
Wow. And that is so it just, like I said, it shows so much courage and so much resilience, and God has kept you. And that's why I always say to people, I don't look like what I've been through, because God has truly preserved me. Yes, he has.
Preserved. That's good. I like it.
He preserved me.
Yes.
Because when I think back, really, I could be looking a hot mess.
Oh, I read your book too, honey.
Girl.
When you were looking at a hot mess.
Yes, exactly. So because at some point, because for so long, I just went on with life thinking, well, I'm strong, I can handle this, and never really getting help, never really talking about, my issues being molested or being raped or whatever. I just went through life and then ended up in an abusive marriage. So what you end up doing, because you're broken, you're still attracting more brokenness.
Yes.
And so, and I'm thinking, well, I got through that, so I'm okay now. But then now I'm attracting more brokenness. And it's just a cycle. You just keep going through all these different levels of abuse until you
didn't even understand why. You was attracting those broken pieces. Because you thought you had yourself together. Because you thought you had it together. And you like, what's going on here? I'm together. But not realizing your spirit wasn't together.
You're not together, because, and then it's almost like you're a target. Like you have a sign on you. Abuse me. Abuse me. Break me. Abuse me. It's true. I was thinking about that. I was like, it's almost as if you wear a sign, But it's because you're so broken and so wounded, and you never handled those wounds. You've never healed from those wounds, so you're attracting more and more brokenness, And it's kind of like those people who do those things, men who rape, men who molest, they're predators, so they can sense it.
Yes.
You're a target. They can target you every time because they can sense that,
and that's what I'm here for. That's what my book is about. From my brokenness to wholeness, my book is about prevention. And that's why I want to get hold of the youth girls in the Women's Wellness Connection Center, because it's about prevention, not when we get to that space of brokenness. And so now let's get her whole and healed. No, I want to prevent her. I want to position her and help her to understand her self-worth, to value herself, to understand that she is loved, that she is valued, and to understand, don't get into his car. Don't go by yourself to a mall.
That's so good.
Okay, you think you're grown because you're in college now. Okay, you don't do drugs because you had a good home. You don't do drugs or alcohol, but if you go to this party, now you still positioned yourself because now you're drinking Coke. What they do and put in your drink. They put something in your drink. You don't know what's going on. Just because you don't do these things, but if you're in that environment and position yourself, something can happen and something can go wrong. So I'm here to prevent.
That's so good.
To have
That's so
go
good.
through that. You know what I'm saying?
That is so good.
That's what the Women's Wellness Connection Center is about. And that's what this book is about. To teach you to position yourself to get to a better place.
Yeah.
And not have to go through those things.
Yeah, it's so true, because that's what happens. That is so good. That's so good. So you just named some things, you kind of gave a mini list of some ways, because I know you're saying you're practicing positioning people to prevent some of these things from happening to them. So when you think back with your experiences, do you ever just sit and think of some times that you could have not made certain decisions, or like you were saying, maybe been in certain places or got in somebody's car, do you ever really sit and think, well, wow, if I would not have done that, or if I would not have gone here, or if I would not have gone there, or whatever?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The only thing that I feel that I could was the molestation, because I didn't have any covering.
Well, you didn't have any.
My grandparents.
Yeah, you didn't have any.
I was there with my grandparents. That's he was living there. There was a child or whatever.
Yeah.
So I didn't have people around me to protect me. So we have to start protecting our children, start covering our children, and we don't have that in a lot of homes. And we have to start recognizing it as communities. When my son was growing up, I allowed kids to come here. It was like a little safe haven, for children to come to eat and enjoy life. And then secondary, I was in a rebellious stage, going to a party where my mom told me not to. I would have stayed my little hot stuff at the house instead of going to that party with my little boyfriend, honey.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have happened. Yep. If I wouldn't have got into that car because I was at the mall with a boy, with my little cousin, I wouldn't have been at that person's house. So it is things that you have, but see, girls are not taught those things.
That's true.
We're not taught to. We taught to smile and be cute. No, hunty. No.
Yeah, right.
Smile and be cute all the time. Hello, goodbye, and keep it a fast pace and keep it moving. You don't have to be nice to every guy. You don't have to be. That's true. And it don't mean you mean, because they will say that. That's game.
That's just game. That's true. That's just game.
You did. No, I'm not. I'm protecting myself. I don't know you. I'm walking in a fast pace. I'm staying with a group of my friend girls. When we're 16, 17 years old, we think we're grown, honey. Out there in them streets.
But sometimes when thinking back, being a teenager, you want that attention because you're just a teenager and you crave attention. So it's about teaching them how to not crave that negative attention, and I like what you said about, because of course, as a child, I want to make this clear, because I don't want anybody to think we're saying something that we're not saying. As a child, you absolutely have no control over somebody who overpowers you and molests you or rape you as a child.
That's right.
But what usually happens is, because we've gone through that, well, now it's almost as if we put ourselves in positions to be hurt over and over and over again after that. So I would say, you didn't have any control over certain situations as a child, because you absolutely didn't. You were a child. But you had some control, and we have to be honest with ourselves, because then you did get to a point where you had control and you did have a choice.
Right.
Because when I think about myself, I had a choice to. When I was raped at age 15 by somebody that I was sneaking around with, dating, but I wasn't allowed to date.
Exactly.
Okay. So, but in my mind, I had it all in check because, you know, I would only see him. Me and my girlfriend would go and see him, sneak through his house. Right. My mom knew nothing about that. So,
right.
So I'm sneaking around doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. I heard you say that's why you're so passionate about young people. That's why I've always been passionate about teaching young women how to love themselves. And that's why I've always been involved with youth ministry, young adult ministry, because it's like you said, I want to teach you how to prevent some of these things.
Right.
You know, because some things can be prevented. You know, I did college ministry, campus ministry. And oh my God, for some young ladies that are just out of the house for the very first time and their parents were strict, they get on college campus, they go crazy.
Yes.
They go crazy.
We have to be better parents to our children. And it's also about letting them know what a predator look like and what they're looking for. Because people don't really think about it.
That's right.
A predator is looking for the quietest person in the room, girl or boy, for a girl or boy that's isolated, that's not loving themselves, that's not going to be loud, that's not going to tell. They know because that person
they know the ones. That's right. That's true.
So we have to teach them. We have to teach and make them aware of what a predator looks like. So that's what I'm here for. The women's wellness.
That's so good. That is so good. That's so good. I want to look at some of our comments. Let me check out some comments. Mr. Kingdom Works, or yep, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one. That's so true. Than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. Prevention is the key. And that is so true. Prevention is the key. So I love that because our young women have to learn how to, you know, first of all, love themselves enough to want better for themselves, to have have expectations. But then that goes back to, and this is something I definitely want to talk about. That goes back to what was your relationship with your daddy? Because now I'm going to use myself as an example. I was a daddy's girl. I was daddy's little girl. So it wasn't like I didn't grow up in the house with my dad, because I did. He was there, but still, parents, you know, it goes back to what you said, don't always pay attention to what's happening in the house, you know, because my dad was always working. You know, my mom, I had siblings in the house, but still I was able to be molested by another family member coming in. And then because you're afraid, you don't talk about it. So you're afraid and they threaten you, so you don't want to tell nobody. But even through that, and even getting older and doing things and getting involved in things, I still always knew the love of a father. And I still always knew that I was worth more and worth better. You know, even when I was in a domestic violent marriage, I knew and I remember telling him this, that I know I deserve better than this. And I'm going to have better than this one day. I used to tell him that, you know. So something deep inside of me always knew that I was better than that and I deserve better than that. But that came from my dad, having conversations with my dad. You know what I mean? And so when I look at my granddaughter with my son and how he pours into her, you know what I mean? So there's something to be said about a dad, and that dad and daughter relationship is important.
Speak on it. It is a good, like you said, see how you had your both parents at home, and you see how your dad was there for you and he spoke to you in positive ways and things like that. So that's part of it.
That's part of it, yeah.
My thing is, you have to have, it doesn't matter if it's your father in your home, your mother in your home, you need protection in your home.
Oh my
you
God,
need attention in your home.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids, like you said, how they was working and things like that, kids are not being attended to and getting that attention that they're looking for.
Right.
They're just looking for love.
Yeah.
You know, so it doesn't matter where you at, as you with your grandparents, with your aunts, if they are loving you and being attentive to you, giving you that loving environment and giving you that protection that you need and that covering, you good.
Yeah.
So I don't want to excuse for my dad wasn't there for me, because honestly, it wasn't that.
Right.
And it's not that I wasn't loved, because I was definitely loved, but it was just everybody had their own thing going on.
Everybody was busy. Right.
In their life. Right.
Yeah.
Like it's your, you know, that's the thing
it's
about
true.
it. And I want to go back to the shame too, when I was speaking about shame and how I forgave myself. is because I want women and I want girls to understand that has gone through the molestation or the rape. It's hard to talk about this part in regard to shame, because
Uh-oh, you're breaking up. Can you hear me okay? Uh-oh. Okay, you were breaking up a little bit.
To me, remove that shame. No, okay, that's just a natural response of your body that's reacting to with somebody. Because they're not trying to hurt you in regards of physically, in that way, because they're trying to feel good themselves. So remove that shame. That's a natural feeling that you're having and that you're going through, and talk to somebody. Yeah. And sometimes, and that's another thing that's hard. We don't talk to our parents or whomever we're with, our aunts or whomever, because again, they don't have that safe environment.
Right.
Somebody is being attentive, they're being ignored. So we have to set that space, that safe haven for our children.
That's so true.
And that's what's going on.
That's so true.
Some kids do go to their mom, and it's their boyfriend or even their own daddy that's doing it, and then here go the mother. Child, go sit down somewhere and stop being fast and hot. We have to stop excusing our children, stop excusing what they have to say, because they're only gonna lie about going to the room. They're not gonna lie about something so big.
Right.
Like this. So we have to start trusting and believing in our children.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then we have to watch, we have to observe when they start acting differently in their personality. Their personality is one way, but now all of a sudden they're shying away and their personality has changed. There's a reason for that.
Right.
That now they're withdrawn, absolutely. They don't want to talk, or they want to, you know what I mean? Or they're acting out. There's a reason for that.
Right. And they just, they're punishing them over, they're punishing them over again. We don't even think about that. Now they're being punished again by you.
Right.
Because they're acting out because of something that they're going through.
Yeah.
Because then it goes back to now, you're not being attentive to your kids. You know what I mean? We're not being attentive to our children. We're not paying attention to what's going on with them, what's going on around them, not talking to them, not speaking to them like they are.
Yeah, that's so true.
They are people. They're people just like you.
That's right. That's right. That's so true. And we can't be so busy that we don't take time to find out, have a conversation. How was your day? What's going on in your day? Who did you talk to? Like my granddaughter, she's used to it now. How was your day? Okay, so and so and so. Well, who's that? Well, who's that? Well, who? I want to know everything about your friends, relatives. I want to know, let's have this whole conversation. So we talk about a lot of things because I want to know how your day really is. Like, I don't want to, how was your day? And me go off and do something. No, I really want to know how your day was. So I'm trying to train her to really talk about the course of her day. You know what I mean? Like the people that she interacted with, the people that she talked to, and what those conversations were, and then I actually real talk with her about predators. Like you were saying, we have to prepare them. Honey, there's some real ugly, crazy people out there. And sometimes it could be people that's close to you.
That's right. And it's good that you're doing that, opening up to her like that, because what happens is when we talk to our children, we can talk to them about anything, but they're going to start talking about some other stuff too. And that's how you learn about your children.
Yes.
And learn about what's actually going on with them. You be like, oh, okay. That's how I be finding out stuff about my son. I just be regular, just do like random talk.
Right.
And then he'll say something else. I'm like, oh, okay, that happened for real.
Yeah, because they will tell you, if you open up, if you create that environment, because my granddaughter calls me, oh my God. Sometimes I be like, Lord have mercy. Oh my God. Like, because girls like to talk, I'll be like, oh my God. But I have to realize, thank God she's doing that. I appreciate her calling me. And I always tell her, you can call me anytime and talk about anything. I don't care how ugly you think it is, how embarrassing you think it is. I want to know, because I'm here to help you. I want to help you. I want to, So I try to create that. It's so important.
Making her children feel important, making it known that they are being heard, allow them to speak. Oh, like LD said, yes, you have to let them talk. Absolutely.
Yes, let them talk. Hey, LD, that's the elect. She knows all about this.
What's up, LD?
Yeah, she counsels children, well, youth. So, but yeah, but that's so important. But we actually had a conversation about that, talking about how, you know, we have to, because children are human too. We don't all, but see, it when we grew up, like you, child police, they had this whole thing about children have to be seen and not heard. That's the way it was when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But when my son was growing up, I didn't play that. I need to see you and I need to hear you. Okay. I need to see you and hear you. Okay. And I'm even worse. I was bad enough with him, but I'm even worse with my granddaughter. It's like, no, honey, I want to know everything.
Right. Because
Everything.
yes,
there's nothing off limits.
To.
Like nothing.
Have to. And then, you know, going from me forgiving, going from starting to be whole, I had to recognize too, even in the last year of 2020, okay, I am whole, but there's still some little fragmented pieces.
Oh, yes.
Doesn't mean you're not healed. That means
there's always residue. There's always residue.
Right, a little residue here and there, you know, and those little triggers, something might happen, somebody might say something, a little touch or something is going to trigger that. That smell will trigger you. Smells trigger.
Yes. Ooh,
you know,
yes.
Trigger. Certain words trigger you.
That's so true.
It doesn't mean that you're not healed. It just means that now you're strong enough to get through it and be like, and just brush it off and keep moving and not get stuck and get into that rest state, not staying there, not staying there. You still healed. Keep it pushing. Just push through that thing and just recognize it for what it is. Don't push it down. Yep. Don't push it down. Push it out.
Push it out and don't get stuck, because you'll get stuck if you push it down.
Yes.
That's so true. So now I want to talk a little bit about because like you said, there's always some residue. So we all have triggers. So I know I'm remarried now, happily remarried. My hubby is the man, let me tell you. So that's my bestie. That's my best friend. We talk about everything. So you talk about, I do still have some triggers, but early on, him and I had conversations about my issues. Okay.
Ooh, I want to talk about that too. Going into relationships.
Yeah. So now he knows his wife. He knows what things will trigger me. He knows what things. But we still have open conversation about things, and sometimes he'll be looking like,
"That's good."
He'll be like, "Girl,"
and that's good.
He's so funny. He has a certain look. He'll just be looking. I said to him last week, I was just like, I just love you so much, because he just like, he'll just look at me like while I'm rambling off on something, like, you know, on my little situations, my little, you know, triggers or whatever.
Right.
So I thank God for that.
I want to talk about that. I want to stay there and talk about relationships as men and women, as you know, because although I help the women, I also want to talk to boys as well about, because boys have been molested, men have been molested, raped, things have happened to men. So we have to be very honest and transparent when we're going into these relationships to talk about these things. Not in the beginning. Don't be on the first date talking about, "Ooh, honey, no, honey." No, because people gonna start running for the hills. But as you gradually start building with one another and seeing that it's going somewhere, then now you both need to open up to what's happened in your past, your background, because those things are still in you.
Oh yeah.
Those things are still in you. Because it will rise up. It
will rise up.
Although you didn't heal from it, you didn't let it go, you didn't forgave, you removed the resentment, the bitterness about that, it's still there. It's still in you. And so it's good to talk about it. And the more you talk about it and get it out, the better you will feel that release. So we have to start talking about ourselves and being honest with ourselves and talking to our partners too, so they can understand what's going on with you.
That's true.
Because they're like, what's going on with her? She crazy. He crazy.
You're right. Like, who hurt you?
Like, why are you acting like this?
Right. But that's so important. That's such a good point, because we talk about everything, like everything. But I can tell that sometimes he just be like, Lord have mercy. But he'll just look. He just have a certain look. He'll just look and he'll listen. And the way I know he's listening is because later on he'll respond in a way, and I'll be like, wow, you were listening. You know, so it's such a blessing, because I needed that. I needed that. You need to be in a relationship with someone who is not going to throw your stuff up in your face and try to make act like you're so you know what I mean, like your stuff is not, everybody has issues, You know what I mean? Like everybody has a past. Everybody has something. So he has some things too, because this is not his first marriage. And so there's certain triggers that he has as well. And I had to learn those. And so I just give him a moment, because I know that it's not me. It's because he has certain things that somebody did to him before, that if certain things that, you know what I mean, it'll rise up inside of him. I'm like, and I had to tell him, you know, and I think I was talking to you about that on when I was on your broadcast, how I had been so used to, I went through financial abuse as well, but that's something that my current husband went through too. So he's so paranoid about bills not being paid and things like that. He don't play that. Bills need to be paid. Like,
I'm glad you said that you went through.
I don't want anybody calling here talk about the bill is late, because for him that's a trigger,
right?
You know. So I had to learn that, you know, that I know that's his thing. Like he needs bills to be paid and paid on time, you know.
But you know what, Carol, I want to talk about that. You said you had financial abuse.
Yeah.
And we're talking about right now, we were just touching on rape, molestation. Everybody always think about physical abuse and sexual abuse. But we need to understand that there's all types of
abuse. And child,
financial abuse, there's emotional abuse, there's spiritual abuse. Those things hurt. Those things are just as bad as being physically abused. You being talked to, you being talked that crazy.
Right. Talked down to. Right.
You know, your spirit now is being broken. If your spirit is broken, you broken emotionally. Mm-hmm. Now you easily can be physically abused. Now it's easy for you to be financially abused because you're so broken down, you're so manipulated, you have all this control over you. So now it's easy to go into this sexual abuse because now you don't have no self-worth about yourself. You don't value yourself because somebody spoke all this negativity into you, this negative life into you. Now you're looking at yourself like,
because you're open. You're just open. And so for me, it was like, I never even knew financial abuse existed until I lived it, you know.
Exactly.
And while I was going through it, I didn't even know then that that's what it was. I had no idea. I was just like, okay, basically, he don't like to work, but he likes to spend money. And yeah, I used to have A1 credit, and at the end of that marriage, basically, I had no credit. I mean, I was like, it was ridiculous. I almost like I was in foreclosure. Like it was just so bad. So, and I got accustomed to bill collectors calling. Like that just became a way of life. When that wasn't always my life, that became a way of life for me. So now I'm in a marriage with somebody, he is not having that. He's like, babe, we cannot have bill collectors calling.
Let me ask you a personal question. How old were you when you got with your first husband?
I was very young because we grew up together. We got married when we were barely 19.
Okay, and so that's another thing we have to look at. We have to start looking at, you know, when we start dating, how old we are, when
oh my God,
in our lives and things like that. And then we have to start vetting the people. We can't be afraid of asking questions. We can't be afraid to vet these people that we're going to say we're going to be with for the rest of our lives or date for a long term, to get to that point to live with this person and not knowing them.
Right.
See, you went to somewhere, you know, we have to start vetting people and start being transparent and being open and honest before we get into these relationships. And that's what's happening. So that's why you need to recognize that you was being financially abused, because you didn't know how his finances was. You didn't ask those type of questions. You didn't have a mindset.
I didn't even think to ask those things. You just assumed that, like, who would have ever, you know? And then, you know,
that's bad.
calling you with saying you opened up accounts that you know you didn't open, and oh my God, please, we don't even have time to get into that. But I still got some of that.
Yes,
I still have some of that lingering on, you know. But that's a financial abuse is a real thing, and we don't always talk about that.
Right. We need to start having those conversations. Yeah, that's what the Women's Wellness Connection Center is all about, is having those conversations. Like you didn't know what financial abuse was. Now it's time to get the word out there. Yeah. Let it be known. Let it be recognized that this is real. That, you know, emotional abuse is real. Spiritual abuse, all this is real. These things are real. Yeah. We have to start asking these questions. Don't be like, oh my God, girl, he is so cute. Who cares?
Who cares?
I need to know who cares? So nobody care about that. I need to know if you go, you know, kill me or not. Like, I don't want to be on Snap. Nah. You know what I'm saying? Because you acting crazy, because I'm acting crazy. Somebody go hit up Snap. So
Yeah,
that's a
true
large
though.
person.
That's so true. You have to, well, and I love the fact that you're taking that on, because it's so important for young women to be informed. Well, and any woman at any age, because there's some women my age is still not informed. So, you know, we have to learn how to ask the right questions. And sometimes as women, we're afraid to ask questions because we're afraid that, oh my God, if I ask him that, or if I'm transparent in that area, I might lose him. Well, okay, that's okay. That's okay.
I mean, he's for you. I mean,
he's not right. Husband. That's okay.
That's not your husband, honey.
That's right.
And don't, a man want you to be honest with them. They want you to be strong. Not in a way that, like, when I'm saying, you know how, you know, the rolling neck, snapping, whatever.
Not no, that, we're not talking about that, because that's not strong. That's just nonsense. That's nonsense. Right. That's nonsense.
The strength in, they understand strength. They understand strength better than they understand tears. They don't know how to deal with you if you're crying all the time.
That's very true. They don't know what to do when we cry. When we cry, they look like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. They be like, here, whatever, take it. I don't know what to do with that. They don't know what to do with that.
They don't know what's up. Let them know what's going on. Stop being afraid of these men in regards to speaking up and speaking out about your beliefs, your values, what you value, what you believe in, right, where you want to go, where you at. If they leave, that person is not for you. So that's great. Right. Let them leave in 4 weeks first, and let them leave in 4 years.
Right. That's so true.
So
yeah,
in a bunch of mess. We end up in this mess because we holding on in that 4 to 6 weeks and not letting them go then. You know, so that's the prevention. We have to start recognizing it for what it is and stop. You ain't lonely. You're not lonely. So you're not.
That's what people tell they're lonely. but first you have to, you know, in order to ask those questions, you have to first know what you want.
Yes.
If you don't know what you want, how are you going to ask those questions?
Yes, know yourself.
You don't know what you, because I'm thinking back, I didn't even know to ask certain questions because I didn't even know what I wanted.
Right. Because you know who you was.
Yeah, I didn't even know.
Right.
Bet you I know now. Better late than never.
But that's what it's all about. That's
better late than never.
That's what it's all about. You know, the Women's Wellness Connection, that's what it's all about. From our Brokenness to Wholeness, the book, that's what it's all about. And all of that.
So why don't you hold up your book again and hold up your book again and then give people the way to contact you. Like what I know you're on Facebook, but what other social media platforms?
I'm trying to be on Instagram.
trying.
Caramel, I'll put all this stuff in the comments. Caramel.
Okay, good.
For Instagram. I'm on Twitter.
Okay.
You can message me on Facebook. I'm also a mentor or coach. You can inbox me on Facebook at Goddess Tammy Marie. You can get my book from Amazon.com, Tammy Buckley. You can join the group. Only women can join the group for the Women's Wellness Connection Center. So please add your friends, family, whomever, your daughters that's 21 and older, because it's going to be a movement of healing.
I love it. Yes.
A movement of healing. A movement of growth.
I love it.
A movement of empowerment. A movement of pushing through. Because we must do it. We must. We got to do it.
You're right. Well, I am so godly proud of you, Miss Tammy.
I'm just excited about, me walking in my purpose to serve others.
Yes.
And their healing journey. I'm excited about that. I know I was meant for this. I know I was put on earth for this. I know I was created for this. I know I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to God that He chose me.
Yeah.
I just know I was put on this earth for greatness and servitude, to serve you, to serve you guys. So I'm just excited.
So one of the things that God has laid on my heart to do throughout 2021 is teach on Queen Esther. And, and we know that she was called for such a time as this. So I believe that you are called for such a time as this. Your ministry is for such a time as this. So
yes,
and
I'm gonna do it And by any means necessary.
Yes.
Under the guidance of God. Any means necessary under the guidance of God.
Amen.
Yeah. He created me for this. So
I got you. So this was awesome conversation. We definitely have to do this again. But before we log off, is there anything that you want to say to anybody to encourage any ladies that are watching, or even any men that are watching? Because my ministry, I do have some men in my ministry. That's why I'm trying to, I know it's hard for them because I feel bad because a lot of things I say and do, it's kind of geared towards women. So I'm trying to work that out. But if you have something, do you have any words of encouragement for kings and queens before we log off?
First, I want you to put God first, because that's our connection. Second, after you put God first, I need you to get that journal. Start writing out your healing. Get that journal. Start writing out your healing. Start being real with yourself. Start reflecting on who you really are. Not what you say about yourself in regards to, not what you say about yourself that you really don't believe about yourself, because we do those things. Because we try to pump each other. Saying positive stuff to yourself all day long. No. If you're not applying it in your behaviors and in your life, it's not going to work. We have to start, we listen to all this motivation, we listen to all this transformation and all these people, but are you getting it? Are you getting it in you? Are you applying?
Yes. That's good. That's good.
Who we listen to, what we listening to, and start applying it to our lives and start speaking life and not death. And that's what it's all about.
That's what it's
and I always talk about in my biography, the 6 R's. We need to refocus, we need to get realigned, we need to restore so we can start rejuvenate. Because once we rejuvenate, then we can renew, and then we are revived. And to keep that cycle going, it's gonna do it. It's got to get back, refocus again on our next assignment. We're not here for just one assignment.
That's right.
Finish that assignment, do what God asked you to do, so he can promote you. Go through the storm, go through that struggle, learn from it, grow from it, strengthen from it. Let it teach you. Don't ask God to bring you, God, please give me it. Don't stop complaining about your storm.
That's right.
Speak to the storm like Jesus spoke to it. Jesus spoke to the storm and said, peace, be still.
Peace, be still.
Speak to it. And go through it.
That's right.
Now, if you're going to learn from it, then that's when you start wallowing in your mess. Allow your mess and your chaos to be a message.
That's
Allow this test, pass the test, so God can promote you.
Woo,
to your next assignment.
Yes.
To your next assignment. Keep moving, keep pushing.
That's so good. Because we all have a purpose and a plan. God has a plan and a purpose for each and every one of us. Yes. And he has given all of us something. He's given all of us gifts and talents. He did not just give some and not others. And that's what I always try to encourage women when I'm mentoring them, because sometimes they'll be like, well, I don't really know. Well, no, but you have something inside of you, and sometimes you need to be, well, it helps when you're around like-minded people, So, but I believe that we were all called for such a time as this. What is your this? What is your this?
Yes. Okay. What is your why?
What is your why? That's right. What is your why? That's right.
Why are you waking up every morning? To go to somebody else's job? To make somebody else the money?
Don't get me started with that one. That's for my wealth builder session.
Use your gifts.
I talk all about
your gifts.
Yes, because you know what? Because I know during this pandemic, a lot of people got messed up because they weren't prepared. And that's one of the things I teach during my wealth builder workshops. We have to be prepared because, again, we all have gifts, we all have talents. And one of the things that God downloaded in my spirit years ago is what we are anointed to do, we can get paid to do. So that thing that you have on the inside of you, those gifts and talents, you're already going to the job and they're paying you your paycheck. So you already have gifts and talent. Otherwise, you wouldn't have that job.
Right.
So do a spin-off of that thing and start something. I always tell people, even if you have a part-time business, we have to have multiple streams of income. We have not learned anything from this pandemic. We should have learned we should have more than one stream of income. So if one thing is not working, you just go over here to the other thing. So
that's right.
We're definitely going to have to do that. I'm going to have to have you for one of my wealth builder sessions so we talk about that, because that's so important.
Financial literacy.
Yes, financial literacy is important. And again, for women, because for so long, we didn't think that was important, because I had to tell some ladies, honey, a man is not a financial plan.
Yes.
No.
That's why they be going to Hollywood, because they looking at a financial plan.
A man is not a financial plan. We're going to save that for another session. But I want to leave with that. A man is not a financial plan. You need to have a financial plan. Yeah. Even if you're married, you need to have a financial plan. I have a financial plan. Now, my husband is privy to it, but he knows I got a financial plan. He knows that if something were to happen to him today or tomorrow, I'm very resourceful, and I got it. Listen, I'm going to make some things happen. Okay.
You're so feisty. Girl, bye.
I know. Thank you so much.
Thank you for real talk, Carolyn.
Yes, I love real talk. We're going to have to do this again. Thank you, guys. We didn't have a time to read the comments, but thanks everybody for joining in. And yeah, but put all your information in the comment section, or Tammy, just let people know how to contact you, and your the link for your group.
Okay, so, I'll put all my information in the comments. Information will be in the comments.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless.
God bless.